Hey guys, it's Ubiru and welcome back. So today I have a replay by Mr. Russell on his Des Moines Tier 10 American cruiser on trap domination mode. And as you can see on the enemy team, there are 3 Yamatos, quite considerable force there in a pre-made. Now this will be quite a big fight later on. Now I'll just talk a little bit about the USS Des Moines. So it's an American Tier 10 heavy cruiser. It was actually the last all-gun heavy cruiser in the US Navy, and the second largest cruiser after the Alaska-class large cruiser, which came after this. So the Des Moines displaced around 17 to 20,000 tons and fielded 3x3 203mm guns. So it had a very, very good firepower and a very, very good reload speed of only 6 seconds in World of Warships. But despite the great firepower of the Des Moines, it only had a max range of around 15.8 kilometers, so it's not the best cruiser in terms of distance in the game, but you can upgrade that with a gunfire control system modification 2 for about 2 million, I think it is, credits, and you get 16% increased range to about 18 or 19 kilometers. So in World of Warships, the Des Moines has around 50,000 hit points and a good degree of armor. It's not the weakest armor by any stretch of the imagination, but it's certainly not the strongest either. So it features a very good upgrade on the Baltimore at Tier 9. It's almost better in every way. It has slightly better armor, slightly better speed, slightly better maneuverability, and far better DPS. So the max speed is 33 knots, so pretty bog standard for a American cruiser in general, and cruisers of this tier anyway. They're about, I think the fastest is the Japanese at about 34 knots, which is pretty good. 8.6 rudder shift time, pretty respectable as well. Good handling overall. Turning circle radius is about 700, so it's not too bad really. Quite a long ship, so it's not going to be super quick, but it's quite good. Bad part about the ship really is the surface detectability, which is 14 kilometers, which is bad really. It's a huge ship, really big, long ship, can be spotted from miles away, and air detectability is about 10 kilometers, so again, not very good. Some great parts about this ship. The Des Moines is renowned for its fantastic anti-air capability. This is one of the best anti-air ships in the game, and possibly the best anti-air cruiser in the game. Having fantastic stats anyway, alongside the anti-air ability, really just clears the entire air of all planes. So this ship is renowned for its very, very good armor-piercing capability with its armor-piercing rounds. Can consistently hit targets and do full damage if you hit them in the correct areas. The drawback of the very good armor piercing as well, unfortunately, is the shell velocity, which we'll see when Mr. Russell fires some shots. It takes a long time for the shells to hit the target at long distance. So you'll see a huge arcing, which can be to your benefit if you're next to some small islands and you want to fire over the islands to hit the targets and be safe yourself from enemy fire, but it can be a bit of a problem. Now this replay is mostly about accuracy, which we'll see later on in the replay. This accuracy of the ship is very good. It's the second, I believe, or the third best accuracy of a Tier 10 cruiser in the game, at 142 meters dispersion, which is quite respectable. And of course, you can upgrade that as well if you upgrade it with one of the modifications which cost you credits. So compared to the Minotaur, which is the British light cruiser, as opposed to this, which is a heavy cruiser, the Minotaur has a bit better maneuverability, has the same distance on guns, the Minotaur, about the same sort of DPM, but this ship has the advantage of using high explosive shells, whereas the Minotaur can't, because all British light cruisers in the game, at the moment at least, can't fire high explosive rounds. They're very limited to AP, but the AP is a bit better than the other ships in the game. So let's get back into this replay. So at the moment, Mr. Russell is moving towards the sort of right side of B after capping C with his allies. This replay unfortunately starts quite slow. Some shots going into the New Orleans at long distance, high explosive. Now this replay system is a bit buggy, so you will see some things like that. It looked like it went in, but unfortunately it missed. So it's just firing a couple of shots as well here. The high explosive of this ship is very good, and as I said, it can set targets on fire when you get a few hits, which can be a large pool of damage that this ship can accumulate over such a long time. So New Orleans is under some fire, some torpedoes coming in, missed most of them, 2,000 damage there, pretty good damage, knocked out some of the anti-air capability, of which the New Orleans is renowned for. The Tirpitz and the Chapayev in the corner there, both very good ships, and the Ubiru as well. They're all sort of crowding around the A site. They're trying to push B, but there's some ships on Mr. Russell's team in the B cap, trying to defend it as best as possible. So the 3 Yamatos on the enemy team, they are hiding at the moment, and you'll see them in action later. They are quite a significant part of a flank of this map, the entire north flank, but I won't spoil it for you. So there are some Yamatos on our team as well. So Mr. Russell is moving towards the Yamato next to the island in front of him to try and get around, get into the B cap and take cover and try and utilize this island to use those high arcing shots to fire at the enemy without being fired at in return. So there are some enemy planes about, and you will see the anti-air capability of the ship in full force when Mr. Russell gets into position. So as I did mention, the anti-air capability of this ship is fantastic. It's, as I said, one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game, especially paired with this ability. So the New Orleans is still alive, probably taking some flooding damage from that torpedo it received a few moments ago. But the thing is, when you're firing at cruisers or destroyers from such long distance, it's incredibly hard to hit accurately. Unless, of course, they have a damaged rudder or a damaged engine. But yes, unfortunately, no successful shots really at the moment. Quite minimal, really. Only about 2,000 damage. But this ship and this battle does get very fast and very quick very soon. So the Yamatos are now in action. They're sort of hanging out together, firing at the allies on Mr. Russell's team to the right of him. And they're all together, really. They're all sort of probably a bit too close, really. Getting ships too close together. If you fire at the, in the general direction, you're probably likely to hit one or perhaps both ships if they're stacked up like that. So now the anti-air capability is getting to effect. Some shots hitting the planes, knocked out a couple of planes there, fired some shots into the Yamato for about 2k damage and set the target on fire. So as I said before, the fire potential of this ship is quite significant. So the Yamato, one of the pre-made ships, has moved away from the other two and is moving behind the rock, really, try and get a good angle, maybe flank Mr. Russell's team. So he's trying to get some shots into the Yamato there, set him on fire. Shots going in again. It looks good for some damage, and as you can see, more anti-air capabilities kicking in here. Massive amounts of plane being shot down right now. All the Yamato took a big hit. 10 planes shot down in quick succession, about 13k damage, most of which being from the plane damage. The Yamato is at a dodgy angle, so it's kind of hard to hit accurately from here. 500 damage, nothing significant. The Donkoi, however you pronounce it, the cruiser, needs to set the target on fire, need to kill that guy quickly, and now we're getting into a bit of a problem. So Mr. Russell is in a bit of a stiff. He had to stop and go full reverse because there are 3 big ships in front of him, which can be an issue to deal with. So he needs to take care of this Donskoi first. Oh, some good damage there. About 2,000 damage with high explosive. Incapacitated one of the torpedoes. Only 8k damage left on this ship, but he's now out of range. And unfortunately, the arc of these shots can't get around that angle. So the Yamato on the enemy team is on fire, trying to retreat back to his allies, in a good position to really fire at, get some shots in, and now Mr. Russell is in a bit of a stiff. So he probably noticed it now, but on his left-hand side there are 3 or 4 big ships looking at him, and he has one ship there to support him, a Yamato, which you'll very quickly see what will happen. So the Yamato on the enemy team, 4k damage left, got in a bad position, tried to get back, and now killed by Mr. Russell. So that's 1 kill for the team. Bismarck is next, firing some shots into the side, and now I think he's sort of realised the big problem on the left-hand side. So the Tirpitz is there, and you'll see a couple more cruisers there. The Bismarck is sort of pushing a bit too far on the right side. A lot of his teammates are firing at this guy, trying to knock him out the water, but it's good to mention at this moment in the game, Mr. Russell's team is at a disadvantage. So there we go. A Des Moines, a Ubiru, all kinds of crazy amounts of ships here. The New Orleans, the Tirpitz. He's not in a good position. So the Yamato is in a terrible position now. He's pushing towards the island. 4 ships are firing on the Yamato. He has some good armor, but he's being hit by high explosive, and he's just taking huge amounts of damage. There he goes. Absolutely wrecked. So the Ibuki is coming close. The Des Moines knows where he is as well. So Des Moines versus Des Moines and a lot other ships, to be fair. So high explosive. Next, tried to fire some armor piercing. Not a great angle. High explosive was a bit better, about 2k damage, and now he's taking some damage from the Tirpitz. Now the Tirpitz doesn't have very good accuracy, probably one of the worst in the game, but he's doing some damage. So high explosive again, now changing to armor piercing, trying to get very accurate shots into the Citadel hit there. 2 Citadel hits, 13,000 damage into the Des Moines, and again firing shots again into the center, underneath the turret. Citadel hit again and destroyed the Des Moines. So the Ibuki's next. So he's not moving at all, so you can fire, you don't have to really lead the shots. So again, 12,000 damage, 2 Citadel hits, incapacitated one of the guns, shots going to the side again, 2 more Citadel hits there, incapacitated the Ibuki, and shots going in. Oh, I missed that time, changing to high explosive to make sure the kill is ours, shots going in, and the Ibuki's down. So the Tirpitz is next. Tirpitz has had some damage taken, but his guns are facing elsewhere. So Mr. Russell has killed 2 ships within quick succession, 7 Citadel hits within only a few seconds. That really shows how accurate these guns are, and accurate Mr. Russell is in this replay. He did a fantastic job taking care of those ships, and if he didn't take care of them with the Citadel hits, he would very quickly become toast. So he's on fire now. The Tirpitz is firing back at him with high explosive mostly. He's angling his armor against all these targets. And when you're point on like this, away from the enemy, it's incredibly hard to penetrate, unless of course you over-penetrate, which does very minimum damage. So the Tirpitz is now destroyed by torpedoes. The New Orleans is there. Just got a kill. I think that might have been the Tirpitz via fire damage. We'll see on the replay at the end. New Orleans is there. I think that might be the first New Orleans from the first part of the replay. The Essex and the Yamato. So the Yamato pre-made has been completely destroyed. 4 kills so far for Mr. Russell. Fantastic replay. I know most of this really happened towards the end of the match, but I thought this accuracy, this quick response time in destroying these ships so quickly deserved a replay. So well done to Mr. Russell. Fantastic replay. So the Yamato, 5,000 damage there. The game's nearly over. It's a shame, really, that these games end so quickly. The Essex is taking fire. The Essex is paper armor versus all these tanks. The Yamato is dead. We lost the battleship as well. The Essex is going down, and it's pretty much game over. So as you can see, Mr. Russell in this game, in his Des Moines Tier 10 American cruiser, managed to get around 370,000 credits, about 6.1k, 300 free experience, 130,000 damage, about 115 shots, 20 planes shot down, as you saw in quick succession, just absolutely obliterated those planes. If you're an aircraft carrier player and you have any planes near these sort of ships, they just get absolutely wrecked, irrespective of plane tier. So 3 incapacitations, 4 kills, 5 sets on fire, 7 Citadel hits, which was the grand scheme of the damage, really. Most of it very accurate play by Mr. Russell. Very well played indeed. And that's pretty much it for the battle performance. So team score on top with 2.4 thousand base experience, 4 kills. Second place was about 2.1, which is the Tier 10 German battleship. So here's a rundown of some of the damage he's done to enemies. So the Yamato, 30,000 damage, mostly fire damage. The Des Moines, 25k, which was the Citadel hits. The Tirpitz, about not too much damage. And the Ibuki, 30,000 damage with pure Citadel hits. So as you can see, Mr. Russell fired 300 high explosive shells and hit 100 of them, and fired 51 armor piercing shells and hit 22 of them. So that's quite a good accuracy ratio. Mr. Russell accumulated 27,000 damage with just fire, so that really shows the fire potential of this ship in this game. So this game was without premium. He would have made quite a significant profit here and quite a lot more experience, about 9k experience at the end. So excellent game by Mr. Russell. Thank you very much for sending it in. And if you guys have any replays that you want to send in for me to have a look at, potentially feature on this channel, by all means send them in to ubiru0@gmail.com. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.